Hi, everyone. My name is Amber Thomas. I'm a registered dietitian and a board-certified specialist in oncology nutrition and also your resident cancer nutrition expert here at Live Better With. Today, we're going to talk about sugar. It is by far the most common question I have from cancer patients and survivors if it's something they need to cut out of their diet, avoid completely, or how much is okay. So let's talk a little bit more about sugar. I want to talk with you about what the research says. So most of the research that I see on sugar and cancer risk is linked back to cell studies. So cell studies are where we have cancer cells, healthy cells, whatever cells they want to study, researchers study, and we have them in, let's say, a petri dish, and we introduce nutrients, compounds, whatever the experiment is, into the environment and see what happens. So that's the foundation of the sugar and cancer risk information, but we can't take that information and directly apply it to humans. The isolation, the way that the cells work with sugar outside of the complex environment that is our body is so completely different. So what we need to look at and what we need to focus on is what's the human evidence. So we're going to get to that in a minute. But I want to provide you a little bit of background about how we actually metabolize food and how that plays into the myth that starving your body or starving your cancer by not eating sugar is a myth. Okay, so when we look at how we digest and metabolize food, let's look specifically at carbohydrates, which are, kind of what's in question here. Carbohydrate foods are the most easily broken down into glucose or sugar that your body uses for energy. So if we were to avoid any sort of carbohydrate-based food, any kind of sugary food, what happens in our body is that luckily our body is very smart and it will make the fuel source that it wants, glucose, out of other food. So with the protein you eat and the fat you eat gets broken down in a way that it makes glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. So we're not able to starve our cancer cells by not giving it this certain food. What happens is we are introducing to our body a cycle or a system that is not efficient, meaning that making glucose out of fat and protein in your body takes more energy. And sometimes that's a problem. We don't want to try to expend more energy trying to get the nutrients that our body needs. So starving your cancer cells by eliminating sugar doesn't really happen. In fact, it's a much better approach to take a well-rounded and varied diet, feeding your body, feeding your cells to help you stay as strong as possible. But the bottom line here, going back to the research, is that those cell studies cannot replace or do not give us the information that human studies can. So when we look at human studies, and we look at the big organizations that look at these type of human studies, let's say the American Institute for Cancer Research, the American Cancer Society, and the National Cancer Institute. If we look at their recommendations around sugar, it's that they cannot see within the human data there is a direct link between consuming sugar and getting cancer, or eliminating sugar and either preventing cancer or making a current cancer disappear. So that's the data we need to look at. We need to focus more on what is a similar experience between human research and us as humans, as opposed to cancer cells and in a petri dish, cell studies. I'm going to take it a little bit further and say when we start restricting foods that we like, it tends to backfire on us, meaning we're trying to totally do without a certain food, and then an environment or a situation comes up, or maybe we're just not getting enough to eat, and your body's constantly reminding you to eat. You may go first and foremost to those kind of sugary sweet foods, mostly because that's restriction mentality. If we're able to make these types of foods just a part of our eating experience and recognize how these foods make us feel in our bodies, enjoy them, find the satisfaction in those foods, it can go a long way to normalizing sugar and having it as part of our varied kind of balanced eating pattern. So there is no human data that supports eliminating sugar, reducing sugar, or otherwise cutting out sugar in your diet for cancer risk. So I hope this information has helped, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Bye for now.